Our next inductee is Mark Winnie from WSB-TV in Atlanta.
From his earliest days in journalism, working with the Birmingham News in Alabama, Mark Winnie has been dedicated to uncovering the truth. His first big story, tracking down a car with the human hand sticking out of the trunk, went global long before the internet, helping to rescue a kidnapping victim and launching an esteemed career.
When you're a news director or you're running a newsroom, you want a Mark Winnie in your newsroom.
Eventually, Winnie made the move to Atlanta and to television, joining WSB-TV in 1985. He's been with the station ever since.
Having him at WSB has been a treasure.
Enthralled by the power of visual storytelling and natural sound, Winnie broke the big stories and got the big interviews before anyone else. He's helped reporters and interns grow as journalists for decades now.
Anybody following in his steps would be following in the right direction.
In a story that still makes him emotional, Winnie once got a call from a prison inmate who swore he was innocent, despite being convicted for dealing crack cocaine.
At issue was a hidden camera video of an apparent drug deal. Leverett said he was not the man in the tape. Chief Reno testified Leverett was not the man involved. A GBI agent testified he did not believe Leverett was in the videotape.
In 1994, the parole board granted Leverett a pardon. Chopper 2 was his ride home from prison, back to Hart County.
He really does have the skills and the personality to gain the trust of people.
Mark is a bulldog. Mark stays on stories.
On the front lines of stories that grip the city and the world, Mark Winnie has spent his career fighting for what's right, being a voice for the voiceless, and serving as a champion of justice.
He's a wonderful human being, and he really is family.
His community involvement has also been a passion, from the Convoy of Care to Swim Across America, the Special Olympics, and helping get Crime Stoppers Atlanta off the ground to help law enforcement keep our communities safe. A dedicated journalist who continues to follow the leads and get the stories no one else can, all while helping to grow and inspire the next generation. Winnie's nearly 40-year career in broadcast has served as a shining example of what the best journalists hope to accomplish.
We fight like cats and dogs, but we love each other very much, and I'm so proud of him.
There are a lot of very good reporters. There are fewer great reporters. I put Mark in that category. He's a great reporter.
To share more about Mark, please welcome WSB-TV News Director Suzanne Nadell.
Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie. 6 words you hear within the first 60 seconds of Channel 2 Action News at 6, more days than not. More days than not, because Mark Winnie ensures that's exactly where you'll find him, leading the 6 p.m. newscast. In a world where we often talk about what's changed in the business, one thing that's remained at 1601 West Peachtree is a reporter who believes his job is to deliver that 6 o'clock lead. And he succeeds. He succeeds by getting the big get on the big story and uncovering new stories. That's how many of you know Mark Winnie. Because if there's a big story in Georgia, not just Atlanta, you've seen him. Whether it be the arrest of Eric Rudolph, to protests in the streets of Atlanta, to the indictment of a former president, Mark is always there. And yes, I'd say we at WSB know Mark for his passion for getting that big story, his passion for leading a newscast. But that's not all we know Mark for. You see, at WSB, we have something we call our secret sauce. It's how we do what we do at such a high level. And I'd tell you Mark Winnie has his own secret sauce. The first ingredient, he believes this is his purpose and calling. Mark doesn't do it just for competitive reasons. Even though, I'd remind you, Mark is very competitive, very, very competitive. He does this because he believes he is called to do good through journalism, through telling stories. And the second ingredient, Mark loves people. Mark has the sources he does because he's good to people. And that goes way beyond just getting the big story. The Mark Winnie we know at WSB is the Mark Winnie who is a loyal friend, who will help strangers out, and use the connections and the people he has met over the years to help anyone in need. Tomorrow morning, another convoy of care departs to help people in Augusta 6 months after Hurricane Helene, a mission that has Mark Winnie's fingerprints all over it. At the end of the day, when you look at what sets apart normal reporters and one who's being honored here tonight, it's not their journalistic knowledge, it's their heart and their passion to serve. And that's at the heart of why we're here tonight, to recognize Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie. Mark.
Wow, Suzanne, that just brought tears to my eyes. Tears that I didn't hear you say that before my contract negotiations. Seriously, thank you very much. My career is a testimony that we have our plans and God has his, and his plan's better. And that he doesn't make the bad things happen, but he'll use them for his purposes. Phil, I guess we could have a revival up in here tonight, right? So Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord, for them that are called according to his purpose. I'm embarrassed to say I did not learn that in Sunday school or Bible study. I learned it on a story about 1991. And since that time, you know, as we encounter people in the most dramatic and traumatic times of their lives, I've seen it play out over and over, including in my own life. So around the start of 1969, I was 11 years old. My dad was gone for a year flying F-4 fighters in Vietnam. And my mom, my younger brothers, and I were living on a base in Bangor, Maine, in the process of being deactivated, so they had some housing set aside for waiting families, and the local school board made a move that was probably going to save them some money, but messed over a bunch of us military brats at school. So a buddy of mine and I called into a telephone talk show on WGUI, the big guy radio. It's kind of the talk of the town. It was the age of youth rebellion, and the host was brash and dished out shocking comments like sweet tea at the Swan House. So we said our piece on our call, and he invited us to come on to the studio the next day and talk about it, and the show ran overtime, and I got home, and the station manager had called and offered me a job on Saturday morning, doing the Saturday morning version. It was my first recurring paycheck. It's $3 an hour. There's only 1 hour a week. But you know, knowing my dad was going to be flying F-4s in the Vietnam War, you know, was the scariest thing that I had faced in my young life. But out of that, my broadcast career began, and my dad came back safe. So my next paying media job was covering high school sport for the local paper near the base where we lived at the third high school I went to. I got paid 35 cents per columnar inch. It did not encourage brevity. And TV news producers have been paying a price for that ever since. I'm not known for short packages. So when I left Auburn, my vague plan was to be a political reporter, maybe go to law school after a couple of years, but God had a better plan. So, I worked at the news on Saturdays and on vacation during my senior year, and that hand in the trunk story happened. And I think that kind of pegged me for the night police beat when I came to work full time about a month later. And a lot of what I use today, doing my job, I learned then. And a lot of it I learned from police officers out in the field, to be honest. How to deal with people at the most dramatic and some of the worst times of their lives. How to develop sources, how to go through records. I'd go through hundreds of police reports in a night. So once again, I had my plan. God had his. His was better. And he's dropped the best stories of my career, frankly, pretty much in my lap. Job has taken me to the front row and to death row, from the courthouse to the crack house, to the get-off house, to the big house. I've ripped and run with the police in Rome, Italy, and Rome, Georgia. I've had a run-in with a tree hanging from a Marine chopper over a Caribbean drug field. Young photographer Bob Page was there. And I've hung out with many amazing people. I've been led beside the still waters and to the moonshine still. I go back that far. Blessed to talk to governors and the misbegotten, murderers, major leaguers and migos, senators and the senates, the corrupt politician and the polished orator, the traffic cops and the dope traffickers, heroes, heroines, and heroin dealers, the preacher, the teacher, the nun, the convicted felon who had a gun, and the viewers and the victims. In our job, if you open your heart, you fall in love with the victims, with the vulnerability, with the hope, the prayer that they might get some catharsis, some power back by unburdening themselves to your audience. And the viewers, without them, as a reporter, you're nothing in the TV business. And I've been blessed to work going on 40 years at WSB-TV, a place with a lot of viewers. God bless them, everyone. So when it comes to thank yous, big surprise, my big three are God, His only begotten Son, my Lord and Savior Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. Next, I would have to say, is the most amazing, grace-filled, courageous woman I've ever known, my late wife, Kate. My first-line editor, she was an English teacher. My best friend, fought colon cancer 14 and a half years. Beat it more than a dozen times. The last time was just a different kind of victory. And you find out the kind of place you work when you see how they stand by you at a time like that. Because it was a long time. So my dad, got to thank him, the best man I've ever known, the late Brigadier General Clinton H. Winnie Jr., was a West Pointer who lived out duty, honor, country, and infused that in his sons. My brothers are retired Army Colonel Chris Winnie and Scott Winnie, a federal prosecutor in Tennessee. So my mom, Claire Winnie, is 91, living on the Georgia coast. Her health wouldn't permit her to be here, but I think she passed on to me her chutzpah. She has a big, ebullient personality, and she can talk to about anyone, and likes to, loves to, and I think maybe I got some of that. So my sons, Jack and Matt, who are here with me, they'll stand up, Jack and Matt. You'll see. You'll see they're definitely the new and improved edition. Better looking and smarter. Well, they think they are. Both lawyers in the parlance of their professions, Exhibits A and B, that I married above my station. Jack is the chief assistant DA in the three-county Coweta circuit. I think I did give him his feel for the street, maybe. And Matt represents a list of important clients he probably wouldn't want me to mention. but he is even doing some media law, fighting the good fight for a great firm in Birmingham. And like me, they went to Auburn. War Damn Eagle! And by the way, in about an hour and 10 minutes, we're playing about a drive and a 5-iron from here. And you got to check out my socks. So I've been blessed with many great mentors in my life, to whom I owe a debt I can never repay. So one of them was Jack Sims, who passed away in 2016. He turned 18 on the ocean as a Marine on his way to the bloody beaches of Iwo Jima, where he was a machine gunner. Came back from the war and went to Auburn and became a big shot with the Associated Press, and then came home to build the Auburn Journalism Department. And he took a lot of extra work on me, and he was there for every big career decision from time I was in school until he died. I love Jack Sims. And I got to say about mentorship, you know, when I count my biggest career blessings, it's not about gotcha stories. One of the very biggest is the opportunity to try to be a mentor myself to many interns and trainees at Channel 2, been assigned to me over the years. That's been one of the most cherished things of my professional life, to try to influence our profession, you know, not just by addition, not just story by story, but by multiplication. You know, you feel if you do it right, you got a small hand in every good story they do from then on. And I don't know if I can still call her my mentee. She is one of my all-time favorites, at least once held that appellation. Channel 2 investigative reporter Ashley Lincoln. Stand up, Ashley, please. So she worked with me as a trainee about a dozen years ago, but now she's killing it on the air for Channel 2, breaking big stories I admire, holding people accountable, shining the light of public scrutiny, as we say. I'd like to recognize next to her the other Ashley in my life, who is here tonight as my date. Thank you for your support, Ashley. So I need to give my sincere thanks to some other folks at the table who have put up with me and been along with many others at WSB, key players, and give me the opportunity to use the humble gifts the man upstairs gave me to help others. Our managing editor, Tracy McKinney. Tracy, stand up, please. Stand up, Tracy, please. So she's one of the best in that role I've ever worked with. She's somebody I want looking over my shoulder at my process and my scripts. And news director Suzanne Nadell, whom you've heard from, has been a relentless supporter and facilitator of my ability to answer my calling. And it really touches me that she has a sense that that's what this is about for me. And it's not an easy job to be a news executive in the changing business environment. I don't need to tell many people in this room. And Misty Turnbull, who was our news director, now she's a big muckety-muck at Cox Media Group. Misty, stand up. And our legendary anchor next to her, Karen Greer, Channel 2 Action News anchor. We're very blessed to have her on board. So I also want to thank other colleagues at Channel 2, producers and photographers and others, but the photojournalists who've had to work with me on deadline deserve special praise. And I have to say, I probably learned more about the production of a news story from a handful of photographers than from any other group. But there's one here who had a special burden to carry. So during COVID, we were paired up, one-to-one to, reduce the possibility of infection. And so there's one guy who had to work with me for close to 2 years. He's now paroled. Brian Ferguson. So I want to talk also briefly about the wonderful people from many walks of life and in many places, most of them with the purest of motives, who help us get the information we need to tell our stories. Again, without them as a reporter, I'm nothing. And finally, I would like to salute the amazing professionals joining me tonight in the Hall of Fame. It's truly an honor, very humbling to be with you, and I want to give my deepest, sincerest thanks to the Georgia Association of Broadcasters for this great honor. Thank you very much.